Welcome back. This is your Foundations Unit 5, Objective number 2. We're in the Factoring Trinomials section. Okay? Okay, so looking at question number 5, the first thing you should notice is that we have a trinomial. Anytime you have a trinomial, a binomial, anything of the sort, the very first thing you're going to try is the GCF. Okay? You got to try to take out a greatest common factor. Now, if you notice, there's no number in front. If there's no number in front, more than likely, there's going to be no GCF. But you can double check anyway. So technically, that's a 1. 1, 3, and 2 only have a 1 in common, so no number will come out. If you notice, they don't all have an X, so there is no GCF. We're done. Then it's a trinomial, so we need to do the X game, or the X factor, or X of anything that you want to call it. And in the top, we do A times C. This is your A, this is your B number, and this is your C number. Okay? So technically, we have 1 times positive 2, which is a plus 2. Then, down in the bottom, you'll do your B term, which is the plus 3. And so you get positive 3 down here on the bottom. Okay? Now you'll notice that I put the signs there. I do this for a reason. This helps me see what signs go here and how I want to combine the numbers to get this. So this tells me two things. One, since it's a positive, I need to add the two numbers that multiply to give me 2 so that they get a 3. And it also tells me that if you're adding, that means it's the same signs which adds. So they're the same signs, which is based off of this, which is a plus. So you'll have a positive and a positive. Okay? So now, this is going to be a really easy one because there's only two factors of 2. You have 1 times 2. That's it. That's the only numbers that will multiply to give you 2. So this has to be 1, and this has to be 2. Okay? Now, you have to ask yourself, should I use the box or should I not? Well, if you do not have a number out in front of your x squared, then you do not have to do the box. You can go straight in, do x, parentheses, x, close your parentheses, because x times x is x squared. There's no need to have any numbers or worry about anything. And then you take this number right here, it goes first, and then you take this number right here, and it goes second. Okay? Problem solved. Okay? So now let's look at question number 6. First thing we're going to try to do is take out a GCF. Well, there's no number here, and nothing will go into 5 and 6 and 1 but 1, so you don't really have a GCF number. And then they don't all three have the same letter, so you can't take out a letter. So there is no GCF for number 6. Okay? So then you notice as a trinomial, you'll need to do the x. Okay? We'll do A times C. Okay, so that's 1 times positive 6, which is positive 6. And then you'll bring down your B, which is your negative 5, because this is your A, your B, and your C. Okay? So now we need the numbers that will multiply to get 6, okay, or the factors of 6, and will add to give me a 5. Okay? You got to be careful with this kind of trinomial because there's two numbers that could give you 5, or there's actually technically two sets of factors that can give you a 5, and you got to make sure you do the correct operation because you can do 1 times 6 and 2 times 3, and in any combination 6 minus 1 will give you 5 and 2 plus 3 will give you 5. So you need to make sure you use the proper notation. Do you need to subtract the numbers or add the numbers? And this will tell you you need the ones that add to give you 5. And that's 2 plus 3, which equals 5. Because the only way to get, if you use the 6, you get 7. Okay? And so we need 2 and 3. And then just like the previous question, if you have a positive, they're going to be the same signs, and this one will tell you what it needs to be. It needs to be negative. Okay? So now we look to draw our factors out. Since there's no number in the front, we can go straight to this. Okay? And then we write down our factors here, -2 and -3. This becomes our final answer. Okay? Looking at question 7. So now we have a trinomial. First thing we're going to try to do is GCF. Well, we have 6, 1, and 1. The only thing that goes 6, 1, and 1 is 1. So we have no GCF number, and then they don't all three have an X. So you don't have to take out a GCF. Okay, so we do need to do the X factor. Okay, and you're going to do the A times the C. So A times C, which is 6 times -1, which is -6. Okay, and then our B goes in the bottom, and that's a +1. Okay, so now we need the numbers that will multiply to get 6. Okay, so the factors of 6 that will subtract to get me 1. Okay, well, remember we have 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. And so 6 minus 1 is 5, and 2, oops, well, we'll do 3 minus 2 equals 1. So 3 minus 2, those are going to be my factors, okay, 2 and 3. They need to be different signs because different signs subtract. And the bigger one needs to be positive, so that means that the 2 needs to be negative. Okay? Now, do we have a number in the front? Yes, we do. So we can't go straight to the factors. We need to use the box. Okay? So we're going to draw the box out. Okay? You're going to put the A term first and the C term last. Okay? Then we're going to take the two numbers that we found, and they're going to go plus 3x and minus 2x. Because 3x's minus 2x's gives us the 1x in the middle. Okay? And now we're going to pull a GCF out of both the left and the top. Okay? So let's start with going to the left. What goes into both 6 and 3? A 3. Do they both have an x? Yes. Okay? What goes into 2 and 1? Well, 1 can only go into 1. Okay, do they both have an x? No, they don't. And we always take the sign of the closest one. Okay? And then we go to the top. What goes into 6 and goes into 2? That would be a 2. And what, do they both have an x? Yes, they do. Okay? What goes into 3 and 1? Well, that's just a 1. Do they both have an x? No, they don't. And then we always take the sign closest to it. Okay? And so here's our two factors. It breaks down into 3x minus 1 and 2x plus 1. Okay? Now, if you enjoy doing the box method, that's a good way for you to do it. However, if you find that that's too much or you just get confused with the box method, I will give you an alternate method to do. Okay? If you like the box method, just skip it and go till you see me doing question number 8. So everything else that we did to find the x is going to be the same. So you would do your A times your C, you put your B on the bottom, okay? And then you would find that your factors that work are -2 and +3. So once you've done that, an alternate method for you to do is write parentheses, okay? And you'll write the A number and an x, the A number and an x. Okay, so you take this number and just the x. So you just write this part right here in the front, and then you use your two factors that you found. Okay, then to finish it off, you'll take out a GCF from each of these, if there is one. So is there a number that will go into both 2 and go into 6? Yeah, 2. So basically you'll divide them both by 2, okay? And you'll get 3x, and then 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, okay? And then is there a number that goes into both 6 and goes into 3? Yeah, 6 does. I mean, not 6. 3 goes into 6, and 3 goes into 3. So what's 6 divided by 3? You get 2. And the x comes down, and then 3 divided by 3 is 1, and it's a positive. And you'll see that you end up with the same factors, maybe in a different order, but the same factors as using the box. Both do essentially the same thing, okay? So it's not like one's better than the other. It's just a different way to look at the same situation, okay? Alright, question number 8. I will solve it both ways. So pay attention to the x, and then if you like the box method, stay with it. If you like doing it the second way I just showed you, you can skip past the box until you see me working on the bottom, okay? So the first thing we want to try to do is find a GCF. Is there anything that goes into 7, 22, and 3? Since 3 is the smallest number, you want to use the factors of 3, and only 1 and 3 go into it. So will 3 go into 7 or 22? No, it won't. So there is no GCF number, and now they don't all have the same letter, so there's no GCF to pull out. Okay? So we're going to do the x, and you're going to do your a times your c, and put your b on the bottom. So that'd be 7 times 3, which is positive 21, and then you get a negative 22. Okay? This tells me that I'm going to add the numbers to get 22, and they both need to have the same sign, and so they're both going to be a negative number. Okay? So now what are the numbers that give us 21? Well, you have 1 times 21, 2 doesn't work, 3 times 7, okay? 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, 6 doesn't work, and now we're back to 7, okay? So now I said we needed to add the numbers, so you do 21 plus 1, which is 22, and 3 plus 7, which is 10, and it looks like 1 and 21 will work. So you use 1 here, 21 there. Negative 1 minus 21 is negative 22, and negative 1 times negative 21 is positive 21. So these are the two factors. So if you like the box method, stay with me. If you don't, just skip ahead until you see me doing stuff below the box. So we're going to go inside the box. Okay. Erase that. We take the A term and the C term, and they go in the first and the last. And then this B term was broken up into these two things. So I'm going to take my negative 1 and my negative 21, negative 1x, and negative 21x. Okay? Negative 1 plus negative 21 is negative 22. So that's where that comes from. Now I'm going to pull out a GCF. What goes into 7 and goes into 21? A 7. And then they both have an x, so you can pull out an x. What goes into 1 and 3? Well, anytime you have a 1, it's just going to be a 1. Do they both have an x? Nope. Okay? And then that sign becomes this sign. 1 and 7 have a 1 in common, but they do both have an x, so you can pull out an x. And then you always want to double check. 7x times x, 7x squared. Good. Negative 1 times x, negative 1x. So we pulled out the right thing. What goes into 21 and 3? Well, that's a 3. They don't both have an x. This is negative, so that's negative. Now you want to double check. Is 7x times negative 3, negative 21x? Yep. Is negative 1 times negative 3 positive 3? Yes, it is. So you know you did it right. And so these become your two factors, 7x minus 1 and x minus 3. Okay? So if you like the box method and you're cool with that, you're done with the Objective 2 video. If you would like to see the other method, then here it comes. Okay? So just like any time, you always want to take out the GCF first, and then after you've taken out a GCF or seen that there is no GCF to take out, you notice it's a trinomial. Okay? Any trinomial, you want to try the x game. Okay? So we did the x game. Okay? We found -1 and -21. Good. So now you're going to write the a term with no square for both parentheses. So I'm going to draw a little line. Okay? So you're going to draw parentheses. You're going to put 7x, and then you're going to put -1. And then you're going to put 7x and -21. Okay? So now you're going to go through and look for a GCF. Is there anything that goes into 7 and 1? No. So that one just stays 7x minus 1. There's nothing you can take out of it. Is there anything you can factor out of this one? Well, 7 and 21 both have a 7 in common, so you can divide it by 7. And then you get 1x, and then -21 divided by 7 is -3. And then if you look, these are the same as those. Okay? So it's whichever method you like. One looks easier than the other, sure. Some are easier to some people and some are not. So it just depends on your method of choosing. Okay? Just take your time and pick the method that's best for you. Okay? So you have concluded your video for Objective 2. Please move on to Objective 3.